is by telling stories. People love a good story. If you notice, any successful business owner, they have a great story. They're able to communicate their story, which captures the audience, which then makes them want to become, makes people want to either work with them or buy their products and services. So the great salespeople aren't good at just pressuring people or convincing people to buy. They tell awesome stories, especially if you want to be a speaker. Very well, like for example, Cheryl Wood, one of my good friends. She's an amazing speaker because she knows how to tell a story. But there is an art to it. There is a craft to it. And so I have the master storyteller in the building, who is also my big brother, who is Jack Daniels. Yes, that is his real name. We're going to get a shot of Jack today, but before I let Jack take on, because he is going to rock the house, I want to tell you a little bit about him, introduce him. He's also known as the king of breakthroughs. He's the former host of the hit television show Black Love, if y'all know that, a 5-time bestseller author, and one of the highest paid, most in-demand psychotherapists in the country. He can get your mind right. Hashtag stay out of your own way. Now that's a long hashtag, okay? Jack is the founder of the Good Men Introduction Agency, a new twist on dating. One of the leading authorities for overcoming fears, and is responsible for helping thousands tell their unforgettable stories, fix their relationships, businesses, or life. He's a master storyteller who's spoken to over 100 schools and universities and has keynoted or done trainings for Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola, Sprint, State Farm, Kraft Foods, Verizon, and dozens more. Like, people like to hear him talk. For whatever reason, they like to hear him talk. And Jack has appeared in and on over 400 radio broadcasts. You've seen him on Sister Circle, Real Housewives of Atlanta, cutting it in the ATL, Red Table Talks. You were on Red Table Talks? What? Married to Medicine, Divorce Court, BBC, Fox News, FYI, TV One, A&E, Nightline. Well, you like that? Lifetime, CBS, NBC, NPR. You went through the whole alphabet.
I'm getting hype over here.
Cosmopolitan, People, Rolling Out, Variety Magazine, Hollywood Reporter, Essence, really, dude, Deadline, Esquire. Oh, you've been Esquire. And the list keeps going on and on and on and on, obviously. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. Please welcome the master storyteller himself, one and only Mr. Jack Daniels, giving us a shot of Jack's. Woo!
Woo! Wee!
Wee!
Oh,
man.
I'm just gonna clap for myself right now.
I'm glad I've known you before you did all this stuff. Man, you got to be too famous for real.
No, I'm small time still.
So take it over. We need to know this story, this storytelling thing, and crafting a story so that we can tell people about us and our business and resonate. And this is the great time to start learning these things and preparing ourselves, especially if you're watching during the quarantine, or even if you're watching after the quarantine. It's not just about getting up and telling people about you. It's a craft to build a story and communicate that, Jack. So thank you for coming on and sharing. So what kind of tips do you have us to help us today?
Well, first and foremost, I say thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being committed to entrepreneurs, because I think it's extremely important for us to stick together as a community, because so many times we feel like we're isolated in our own little silos, and trying to connect and being able to connect, especially during this time, is extremely important. So I salute you and I celebrate you for doing this for our community and your community, and building bridges that actually matter, to giving people tools and resources so they can continue to thrive in whatever it is that they do in their dual entrepreneurship. So I celebrate you and give you a pat on the back first, and thank you for inviting me. When it comes to story and storytelling, I'm obsessed with it. Most people have a story to tell, but they don't know where to start. my question for people that are listening, and I'm just going to talk to you like I'm talking to you, is what's your story? And when are you going to start telling it? I believe that story is one of the most powerful forces on the face of this planet. But like, let's just have an honest moment here. Let's have a moment of clarity, a moment of can we be honest with each other right now? Because I don't want to. I mean, we don't need to talk about a bunch of fluff. We don't need to talk about a bunch of hyperboles. We just need to have an honest moment. I know why you're really on this video. I know why you're really on this call, why you're sitting here listening to me. If you scrolled upon this in at another time, or if you're doing it here live, I realize why you're doing this. You're here because you've been hiding. You're here because you've been pretending. You're here because you feel like you have a story to tell, but you don't know where to exactly start. Maybe you've tried before. Maybe you've put something out there before, but you're not real sure why you keep failing, and why you're not connecting to your audience, why you're not connecting to your customers, to your clients. I was taking a flight one time to New York City, and I sat next to this elderly Black woman. She was on the plane by herself, totally by herself. I sat down next to her and I noticed her hands. I mean, she was an 82-year-old woman. She was alert. She was well-spoken. She was traveling alone, and she was visiting family. Now, that's pretty amazing in itself, in my mind. All right. Like, she's 82 years old. She's traveling on a plane by herself. As we cordially carried on this conversation and small talk, I couldn't seem to take my eyes off of her hands. I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at her hands, and her hands were beautiful. It's caramel brown complexion, and they were strongly defined with wrinkles and veins all the way throughout. As we were talking, I literally found myself comparing my hands to her hands, right? And she noticed me looking at her hands. She caught me, but really, like that was really what happened. She caught me looking at her hands. And I'm looking at her hands, and she said, you know how you get caught doing something you weren't supposed to be doing it. You know how it's just like she caught me, and I'm sitting there trying to pay attention, but I'm looking at her hands, and she caught me. She got me. And when she did like any elderly woman would do. She leaned in closer, and she kindly smiled, and she whispered to me. She said something that was really important that I never forgot ever in my life. She said, "Young man, these hands may be old, but they're still holding on to God's unchanging hands. These hands may be old, but they're still holding on to God's unchanging hands." I closed my eyes, I nodded my head, and I smiled. I gently grabbed her hands by the hand, and I put her hands into mine. I turned and I looked her directly in the eyes, and I said, "Every wrinkle I see in your hands is a reminder of how much God is still in the blessing business. I pray every day that I live long enough to do work good enough in this world to have hands like hers, to have hands that actually have gone through something, to have hands that actually told a story that words could never, ever match." But that's her story. Those are her hands. I'm sitting here wondering to myself, what's in your hands? What's your story? You have so much power in your hands. You have so much power in your story, but you fail to use it in every single way. Instead, you hide. Instead, you pretend. You actually sit around waiting. You sit around wishing, wondering, and just waiting for someone to single you out, waiting for someone to invite you to the cool kids table, waiting for someone to hire you, to admire you. You've simply been waiting for someone to come along and pick you. You've been waiting for this magical moment that generally never happens. So your solution has been to hide. Your solution has been to pretend. Your solution has been to absolutely do nothing. You don't take any risks. You don't do anything different. You don't invest in yourself. You don't do anything. You just hide, pretend, and do nothing. Or maybe instead of waiting to be picked, you're simply watching everyone else get ahead. You know what I'm talking about. You're watching everyone else get over. You're watching everyone else get theirs. You become a professional watcher. In fact, your thumbs probably got arthritis in them from scrolling to the bottom of the Facebook wall, which I really don't think exists at all. I've tried scrolling all the way down to Facebook. It just keeps going forever. This dream you've had of sharing your voice, this dream you had of launching your business, this dream you've had of getting more clients and doing what you see other people with half your talent, half your intelligence, half your connections, half your experience, half your education, or your anointing, or the thing that you do well, they're already doing it. What are you doing? It's safe to wish. It's safe for you to wait. It's safe for you to simply sit on the sidelines and watch. It's safe for you to dream about what you really, truly want instead of putting that plan in place of how you're going to do it, when it's going to happen. I'll get to it one day, is what you tell yourself. I'll get started someday. Well, let me tell you this, someday is a disease that's sucking the very life from your dreams. Someday is a disease that's sucking the very life from your dreams. Do me a favor. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, hold out your hands right in front of you. Just hold them out. Hold them out. Seriously. I'm not like for real. Hold your hands out. I just want you to hold them out in front of you and look at them. Just look at them. Look at every wrinkle. Look at every line. Look at every mole, every dot. Look at them. Take a good look at the front of them, the back of them. Now look inside of your palms. Just look. Keep looking at them. And listen closely to what I'm about to say. You may not be an 82-year-old woman with caramel brown, strongly defined wrinkles in your hands, but you have a story to tell too. You have a story inside of your hands, and the power to share your story with the world is in your hands. But you're not doing anything about what's in your hands. Time out. Let's pause for just a second. Let's just pause just for a second. That's a pretty powerful and captivating story, right? I'm betting, because I'm a bet. If I was a betting man, I bet you paid attention to every single word that I said, didn't you? Didn't you? You paid attention to every single word that I talked about in that story. Here's the thing. No matter what part of the world that you're in right now, and there's people from all over the world that are probably listening to this video or that will see this video at some capacity. Neuroscience tells us that the human brain is drawn to story. Your brain is drawn to story. I personally believe that everything in our life starts with story. I'm totally obsessed with it. I'm totally obsessed with story in every single way. But it's not just about telling your personal story or your testimony. For all those church folks that are in the house. It's not about your testimony. There are rules to storytelling. There's a formula and an art to storytelling. That's why most speakers never get booked. That's why most speakers never get paid. And that's why most speakers get paid in fruit baskets or love offerings or gift cards. I'm sorry. I know. Hurting somebody's feelings right now. It's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to hurt your feelings. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get you a little feel-good juice in just a second. There are reasons why you're not speaking. There are reasons why you're not getting paid bookings. There are reasons why you're not attracting quality clients or growing your business. It's because you need to shift from amateur to professional. You need to make a shift from being an amateur to a professional when it comes to speaking. Your messaging needs help. Your story needs help. You lack structure, you lack strategy, you lack systems, or a framework that actually works when it comes to communicating what it is that you actually have to say. You've been winging it. Let's be honest. You just been shooting from the hip. You have no strategy. You have no structure. You have no system whatsoever. Or you feel like you're so anointed that you can just flow. Right. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need all that. I could just flow. But if you're honest with yourself, None of that's been working. If you're honest with yourself, none of that has gotten you booked. None of that has made you any money. Being in flow doesn't bring you cash flow. You need to write that down because that was pretty good. It kind of rhymed a little bit. Somebody write that down in the chat. Being in flow, it doesn't bring you cash flow. Your story isn't working because story is about crafting the message that draws people in and makes them care. Story is about a message that draws people in and makes them care. Are you truly making people care? When you have a framework and a system, it helps you craft that message and story that actually pays. A framework and a system helps you craft a message that attracts clients. You're not supposed to be chasing anyone. Story doesn't chase, it attracts. I want you to write this down. Wherever you are, and you can write it in the comments, in the chat, or on a piece of paper in a notebook that you're taking. Story, your story. No, I want to say it like this. The right story inspires future transformation. The right story helps inspire future transformation. That's what I want to say. The right story helps inspire future transformation. Right now, transformation, not transportation. Right now, I'm betting that you're having a conversation in your head that probably sounds a little something like this. Why is Jack all up in my business right now? I really do need help telling my story. I really do need a story makeover, but where do I start? Which story do I tell? I have so many to pick from. What's the right one to actually tell? What's my topic going to be? How do I actually structure my talk? I wonder if I'll ever be able to tell stories as good as Jack. These are great questions. I want you to get crystal clear about how to tell your story. And I want to be able to help you do it better than me. I want to help you tell your story better than me. I've been privileged and honored to create and teach framework based on the proven power of story that actually works, from celebrities to single moms and everything in between. I pretty much coached everyone. I'm sitting here telling you that with the right discipline and the right help, you're going to find your story. You're going to clarify your message, and you're going to tell a compelling story that captivates an audience, or a story that attracts high-end clients or customers. And guess what? You're going to get paid to do it. Wait, I'll say it again because you missed it. Hold on. You're going to get paid to do it. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Oh, that just it feels so good to me. It just, the big question is that I have for you. Are you ready to stop making excuses and get started actually sharing your voice? Or are you just going to keep hiding? Are you going to keep pretending? And will you keep doing nothing about your gift, your talent, your voice, your story? I know you're not an 82-year-old woman, but if I was sitting here next to you right now, like shoulder to shoulder, I'd lean closer and I'd grab your hand and I'd whisper this one thing in your ear when it comes to telling your story. I'd whisper to you, someone else's breakthrough is in your hands and in your story. I'll say it. Someone else's breakthrough is in your hands and in your story. I know you have a voice. I know you have power in your hands. The big question, the big questions that you need to ask yourself, what are you going to do with it? Are you really going to start sharing your story? Are you going to share your voice? Or are you going to sit on those hands? Keep playing it safe. Keep playing small. Or are you going to sit on those hands, waiting? Sit on those hands, wishing. Sit on those hands, watching everyone else get ahead, get theirs, get over. Let me tell you this, and you need to remember this. You'll never unlock your destiny if you stay stuck in your history. You'll never unlock your destiny if you stay stuck in your history. There's so much power in your story. I want to be able to help you tell it, but you got to get serious about this calling thing. You got to get serious about what it is that you said that you want. Most people have a story to tell, but they just don't know where to start. What's yours? And when are you going to start telling it? Do you know? I get excited about this stuff because so many times people have this capacity to be so much greater. You have a capacity to be so much greater. But there are four things that you actually lack when it comes to telling your story. Number one is clarity. And when I say clarity, I'm speaking of clarity from the sense of understanding where it is that you're going, what it is that you're talking about, the vision that you have, and how you're going to present it. Your message is all over the place. You're everywhere. And there's so much clutter when it comes to you being compelling, when it comes to you actually getting your points across that people can't follow you. And clutter creates confusion. And if you have so much clutter, it's almost like inside of your closet. You ever had a messy closet before? I've had a messy closet before. It's like, one of those closets that you throw everything into when company is coming over and you just shut the door. And if you opened it up, things would just fall all out. You ever had one of those closets? It's very similar to your brain. It's very similar to your mind and some of the things that are going on inside of your mind. You lack clarity. And until you get clear about the vision that you actually have and the messaging that you want to actually communicate, no one's going to connect with you at all. Number one was clarity. Number two is confidence. You're not confident about your voice. In fact, you cringe at the very sound or the very answer of someone calling you to the front. You're not confident about what it is that you're talking about. You're not confident about what it is that you're saying in the message that you actually have. And confidence is the energy that is transferred to other people. And if someone sees that you're not confident, someone sees that they're more confident than you are, the most confident person in the room is going to be the most dominant person in the room. Whether you're sitting one-to-one with a client or whether you're on stage and you're talking to many, you have to exude a layer and level of confidence. But confidence comes through your competence of doing something that's uncomfortable for yourself. You got to get out of your comfort zone. So whatever it is that you're afraid of, whatever it is that you haven't been doing, I would encourage you to do something different that is totally uncomfortable, especially in a time like this, in a time where we have all of this time to be able to do whatever it is that we want, that we always dreamed about. What is it that's holding you back now versus the lack of confidence that you have that you're going to be judged, you're going to be talked about, people are going to be looking at you as something different if you started voicing some things that they didn't know that were inside of you. You're afraid of your voice, but more importantly, you're afraid of other people's approval. What they're going to say, what they're going to think, how they're going to judge you, doesn't matter. Your voice and the thing that you have inside of you needs to be communicated in such a way that it doesn't matter. It comes through crystal clear as to what you believe. But you first have to believe it before you can communicate it to someone else, whether it's your clients, your customers, or people that you want to attract when it comes to your story. If you're not confident, I'm not going to buy into what it is that you're saying. I'm not going to buy into what it is that you believe. I need you to believe it. And if you don't believe it, I'm not going to believe your story. Number one was clarity. Number two was confidence. Number three, a construction plan. You lack a construction plan. And what I'm talking about in terms of construction plan is you don't have any structure. You're winging it. You don't have a system or a strategy to be able to communicate any messaging that you actually have. You just get up and you flow. You don't have a framework. You don't have a blueprint. You just flow. Tara and I were just talking about people that are in this state of just kind of just throwing things out there. You can't jump on to a live broadcast and not have a plan. You can't be in a situation where you don't have a strategy. There needs to be a strategy behind the story that you're telling. If you notice, everything that I went through had a well, you probably didn't notice it. You were just so tied and caught up into the story. You didn't know there's a strategy for what it is that I talk about. There's a structure for what it is that I talk about. And if you do not have those, you are constantly going to fail at connecting to people, at connecting with your audience, at connecting and attracting clients, attracting people that want to book you, attracting people that need to pay you for your talent, for your gift, for the thing that you actually exude, for your story. Number one, you lack clarity. Number two, you lack confidence. Number three, you lack a construction plan. And then number four, this is really important, you lack commitment. Like, let's be real. You need to get serious about doing whatever it is that you're doing. I know this is the dual entrepreneur thing, but you're jumping in here, you're jumping out here. What is it that you're truly passionate about doing? And are you totally committed to it? But this is an honesty question with yourself. You don't have to prove it to me. You don't have to prove it to anybody else. Are you totally committed? And you know whether or not you're committed. You know it. You know whether or not you've given it your all. And right now in this time frame that we're in, there are no excuses, right? Like sometimes situations have to come to be able to push you into action, to move you into action, to place you inside of an uncomfortable situation, to force you to do some of the things that you said that you've always wanted to do. And right now, you can't make excuses about not being committed, because what happens when, you're doing a dual thing. So maybe you got a little bit of income here, but what happens when that goes away or the economy gets a little bit worse? And the thing that you've been dabbling in that really you're truly passionate about has to become your main thing. When your side thing becomes your main thing, what do you do then? Right now is the time that you have to get totally committed to the story and the messaging that you're communicating. Because if you don't, there's no greater time on the face of this planet to get your idea out there, to get your message out there, to start your business, to launch something that is poignant in this world. Because guess what? You have a tuned in audience. Everyone's at home right now. But if you don't know how to communicate what you believe, if you're not clear about it, if you're not confident about it, if you don't do it with a construction plan and you're not totally committed to it, you will never get your voice out there. There will be people that will surpass you in so many different ways because they're committed. And commitment simply means one thing. It means finish what you start. That's it. Finish what you start. But when you don't have a level of clarity and your vision is like all over the place, you don't have confidence and you don't have a construction plan and the ability to be able to commit, you fail to connect to your audience. It doesn't matter what audience we're talking about, whether we're talking about an audience on a stage, an audience in front of a camera, an audience that's one-to-one in terms of your clients, in terms of the people that you're selling to. And when you fail to connect, you don't collect. You can write that. That's good. You can write that down. When you don't connect, you don't collect. So following the framework, a framework is going to help you attract high-end customers. A framework is going to help you stay on task to get whatever coaching clients or customers, or to communicate your message a little bit closer. Listen, you know that your story is powerful. You know that your message is powerful, but you can't keep hiding it in the excuses. You can't keep hiding it in the lack of your clarity. You can't keep sitting around waiting, wishing, wondering, waiting for someone to single you out, invite you to the cool kids table, to hire you, to admire you. You can't keep waiting for someone to come along and pick you. You gotta pick yourself. This magical moment that you've been waiting for is not gonna happen. Oprah's not gonna come to your door or to your inbox and say, hey, I want you. Pick yourself. This is the perfect time to pick yourself. You have to learn to take risk. You have to do something different. You have to invest in yourself. It's safe to wish, safe to wait, safe to watch, or to just dream about what it is that you really want. So I don't know what you've been going through, who you are, and what's in your life, and what you totally believe. But very similar to that old woman that I met on the airplane, with her caramel brown complexion hands, every wrinkle that was in her face, every wrinkle that was in her hand. She had a story. She had power, but it was in her hands. You have a story that's in your hands, and it's time for you to start telling it. It's time for you to really start telling it. Get out of your comfort zone, let go of the excuses, get clear, get confident, get a plan, and get committed to this thing. What's your story? Tara, I'm done.
Dang, man, drop the mic on, why don't you? Shoot. You
Ah,
Jack, and it sounds very simple, but a lot of us, especially the first one is or being committed to do it is where a lot of us fail. Like I was committed to doing some things initially and then life happens and I falter on it. But it's nothing like being committed. Like now I'm committed to dualpreneur and keeping
mhm,
my dualpreneurs in business and giving them resources. And it's something about that commitment that regardless of how I'm feeling, that I have to show up.
yeah,
I just have to show up. Yeah, I'm going to put my makeup on and I have to show up because my commitment, it means it's more than just me. My
right.
commitment is because I'm doing this for a greater thing, whether it's to take care of my family, whether it's to take care of other people, whether it's to help other people. And, telling the right story and touch and being someone's future transformation is really important, because if you don't do that, you do them a disservice. There is someone,
Absolutely.
there's someone that is not going to get a breakthrough, not going to get a transformation, not going to live, not going to do whatever because you refuse to share your story. And sharing our story is not so much about us, it's really about the people that we're sharing the story to, that it resonates to move forward.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. That means you were paying attention, and I'm like happy that you were listening.
I was taking notes and everything, right? Shoot, I was writing stuff down and typing too.
Good, good. I'm passionate about story in a lot of different ways, not just because it's and I've had the luxury and the privilege of teaching like thousands of people now through our live events, through our courses, through one-to-one, and it's been a privilege of mine, but it's also been an obsession because I dive so deep into it, and there's so many different facets and elements that go along into it. It's not just about, your presentation or, captivating an audience, getting a standing ovation. I can teach you and show you all of those different types of things. I think the secret weapon that I've enjoyed over the course of my career is one. I used to be totally obsessed with helping people change their stories from a psychological and therapy background, which I still do. I still enjoy that. But then it turned into not just changing people's stories, but helping them to express and tell their stories better, which gives more credibility to the person that I'm helping, because then it helps other people by hearing what it is that they've actually experienced and gone through. So now it's not just me helping one person, but it's me helping multiple people, because if I can help you share your story, imagine how many people that you can actually touch. I'm but one guy. That's it. I'm one. But if I can show you how to do it, and then you show someone else how to do it, it just multiplies. And that's how we change the world, one person at a time.
Guess I gotta unmute myself. So
Oh,
that's what I love about what you and your wife Marshawn is doing to help people to formulate and craft their story and share their story. Because one of the things that most entrepreneurs and most people are doing right now is suffering in silence. And
mm,
they need people to share their story so they know they're not the only ones. And if I share my story and it resonates with you, or you've experienced the same thing, you would probably say, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. And that's
Yeah.
how we pull
Yeah.
each other out of this, especially during this time, because we have a captive audience right now. This is the great time to learn how to craft a story, to practice crafting your story and telling your story, so that when you go and get on stage, you've perfected it.
And you know what? You know what's crazy? Like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
I'm baffled by the number of people that are like sitting in the cut and like just doing nothing. I'm like, what do you have? This is okay. So I've been doing this for a long time, right? I've been like this, I'm 15, almost 20 years. I've been doing this a long time. It wasn't that long ago when this technology did not exist.
Right.
Right. So we literally had to speak on stages. We had to do one-to-one activity, or maybe it was a conference call or something. But to sit here and to see you live, it's mind-blowing to me. And I ain't like an old man or something. But what I'm trying to say is, through the years, technology has connected us and given us gifts to be able to connect to the people and the audiences that we actually want. And you can do something and fail at it and have zero consequences. What do I mean by that? You can go on and you can do a live broadcast like right now. You can do this and it could be like one person that shows up. You can fail, you could fumble, you can do all of that, and then guess what? When you're done, you can hit the delete button. you can literally just hit delete.
Yep.
Like it just went away. Nobody knows. Do you know what my training was? My training was live on television.
Getting on front of the stage and bombing. That was that.
Well,
and there's no
or like bombing on stage or live on television, or the radio. Like there was no second take or anything. No, it was like you gotta get in, do it. But now you can do this thing in the privacy of your own home. You can practice at home and become great at it in the sense of there are no consequences. So I'm like, why would you not do it? Why would you not take advantage of it? Why would you not put your voice out there, put your story out there until you actually perfect it in a way so that the audiences start gravitating towards you and start connecting with you? This is like the perfect time to do it. And you got a built-in audience right now because everybody at home.
Exactly. Let me tell you, before I let you go, let me tell you a story. Well, I'm not going to tell you the story.
It better be a good one. Wait a minute now.
I'm not going to tell you the story.
It better be
I'm not going to tell you the story in front of the master storyteller, but I can tell you the one story, or the one blog post, I should say, that got the most traction and the fastest. Like I've never seen it before. It never happened on my website or whatever. And it was Jay Stone's fault, because we did a girlfriend's weekend with my other girlfriend, Tamika. And Jay and I were up at 2:00 in the morning, and she was telling me, you've got to be more vulnerable because there's other people that have experience. And I told her one of my vulnerable things, and I cried telling her. And I was like, I can't tell people that. That's embarrassing. And she was like, but that's going to make you the most money. So I wrote the blog, and it was called Foreclosure Confession: Why I Had to Tell My Bank to Kiss My Ass. So it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm pressing the button to send, and it's going. Within 24 hours, I had 10,000 views on a blog. And this was like almost 10 years ago, right? Never seen that before. And then when I crafted the story about it, and I just relatively took the blog, and then I crafted the story of, the 5 reasons why I had to tell my bank to kiss my ass. 1, my house couldn't swim. It was $80,000 underwater, and that bitch couldn't swim. And I explained each of them, right? And then I provided solutions. This is what I did to recover from it. This is how I rebuilt from it. And so it's to tell people that there's life after. That's what Jesus Christ taught us, is resurrection. There is life after. And I tied that into the story. And I've gotten more positive feedback, more clients, more speaking engagements by telling that story and crafting it and preparing it. Because I didn't just come up and get off the cuff and do that. I had to prepare for it because I only had maybe 15, 20 minutes. So I can't tell it for 5 minutes because they paid too much money. And I can't tell it for 40 minutes because that's out of my time frame. So I had to be prepared for it. And I can tell you, by telling that story, I have also the most marvelous money movie ever told, where it's a superhero story about financial planning. Everybody loves a story, but it's because it's a story.
Yeah.
That's what captivates people.
So as the result of telling that story, as the result of sharing that story with as many people as you did, whether it was 10, 20,000 people, like, how did that feel? This is me turning into the interviewer now. How did that feel for you to be able to share that and to inspire transformation in other people, to release them? Because you came out of your silo, away from your shell, out of hiding, not pretending anymore, and you gave them permission to do the same. So how did that make you feel, and what did it do for your level of confidence that we were talking about, and probably clarity in terms of moving forward and generating income for yourself?
I'm glad you asked that question. So it empowered me. It gave me, it felt like I took my power back, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the experience made me feel like I was powerless. And I felt like they just took my power away from me. I'm a financial executive. How am I going through this? I know better. I should have done this differently, or whatever, right? And it
Yeah.
wasn't because I just didn't pay it. They weren't trying to work with me, and it was right at the beginning of the crash. And
Yeah.
so I was like, well, kiss my ass, and where would you like for me to mail the keys, right? So that was my whole mindset. But that was still defeating to me. It was embarrassing, and it took my power away. But when I actually shared the story, I explained my reasons. I explained how I took, I repaired myself, and then I shared to other people, and it helped other people. That's when I felt like I took my power back, and I
Mm.
felt more empowered to do it.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's like I said before, your story helps inspire future transformation. And story, if you're not helping someone else with your story, you're telling the wrong story, right? Because that's just self gratification, self uh, uh, flattery. Like, if it's all about you, it's not a story. It's testimony. And and the reason people don't get paid for what it is that they actually have is because they're telling testimonies, and that's an amateur version of storytelling versus a professional version. So I got to applaud you for that, and salute you, because, like, look at you now, right?
Oh, look at you now. Well, tell people, I know you have a course that helps people with this if they need a little bit more guidance on how to
Absolutely.
do that. How can people get in contact with you? How can they sign up and do whatever so they can get their
Yeah.
story crafted?
So we have a course that is available. We typically do a mastermind that is twice a year. We just finished our first year, the first session of our mastermind, actually, for the first half of this year, and we will be opening it up for the second half. But that's not going to happen because we got triplets on the way. So
My three little nieces are
yeah, yeah,
coming.
yeah. We got
Yay!
triplets on the way. Yeah, we got triplets on the way. So we just closed the mastermind last week. Actually, we took everyone through a 90-day program. So right now, we still have Unleash Your Story masterclass that is available for those who are looking to clarify their message, craft their personal story, and captivate an audience that is going to get them a standing ovation. It's a step-by-step course that basically explains everything that we were talking about today in detail. It's going to give you the level of clarity. It's going to give you the level of confidence, a construction plan that gives you a framework and a step-by-step system as to how to craft your actual personal story, and then get you really committed about getting it out there. So it's a fantastic course that was put together, and I don't know how many people have gone through it. Everyone that has ever been a part of our mastermind program has to go through this first. It's a preliminary course that they have to go through. So this is something that is traditional for a lot of our clients, and I'm just offering it. And right about now, you can go to unleashyourstory.tv. That's unleashyourstory.tv, and you can get all of the information and all of the tidbits of, like, whether or not you want to do it or you don't want to do it. Here's the thing that I want to say about people's story. I'm not committed to trying to sell stuff. Like, that's like, it's so whack right now. I mean, here's the thing that I want you to do. I don't care where you get the information from. I just want you to get the information, go out. You can literally Google step-by-step instructions on how to tell your story. If that makes you comfortable, go do that. What's important is you get out there and you start doing this thing. You got to get the level of clarity. You got to have the confidence. You got to get a construction and a blueprint plan. And you got to get really committed about doing that. Where you do it and how you do it, find someone who you're comfortable with that can teach you a better way to do it, because your message matters. Your brand matters, and you getting your voice out there matters in terms of, especially in this moment. If you're not doing some of these things, and you're going to sit and people are going to pass you up, because there are amateurs out here that are getting way ahead of you because you're worried about being judged. You're worried about people that don't have any cadence, nothing to do with your life. You're worried about their approval, but your story is so powerful that you have to tell it in a way that is compelling. You have to tell it in a way that is clear. You have to tell it in a way that is committed to the goal and the thing that you believe about yourself. But you can't do that unless you're uncomfortable with yourself, and getting out of your comfort zone is the way that you do that. So unleashyourstory.tv, that's a resource for you. If it works for you, great. If it does not, go do it, go find it somewhere else, because there are tons of resources that are out here. I'm just one of them. And, I'm committed to helping as many people as I possibly can in the way that I can. But we got to vibe. We got to connect. If that doesn't work for you, go find something that works. But I applaud you for this platform. I applaud you for doing the work and pulling people together in terms of community that needs it to be outside of their own silos and outside of their own comfort zones, and giving them the resources, the tips, and the tools to be able to help them further the gravity of the work that they actually do. So salute to you.
Thank you, big brother. And where can people connect with you on social media?
Just go to Jack Daniels TV. Jack Daniels TV on all social media platforms, on YouTube, all social media platforms. Jack Daniels TV, or go to jackdaniels.tv, and that's the main website. You can find out all of the information that you want to about me right there.